Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I want to give a little recap of the last 2 weeks where I've been on a big road trip out west to attend the Bardsley Summer Bash, among other things, and had a absolutely wonderful, great trip. And I just kind of want to tell you a little bit about what all we got to do on this trip, plus share with you some of the goodies that I brought home from this trip. And yes, I brought home quite a bit of stuff. Usually when I go out to the Bardsley Summer Bash, I fly out. It's much easier. I live in South Georgia. It's a long way across the country, and it's fairly easy to jump on an airplane, fly right in there, and fly back home. This year, decided to do something different, decided to take a road trip and actually make the drive out there. On this trip, I had a couple of friends and fellow YouTubers that joined for the ride. That was first off, Mike Wiggins over at the Backyard Machine Shop. Mike lives here in Georgia, a couple of hours from me. He lives near Savannah, Georgia. It's really not that far away, but there's no good way to go between here and there. So it takes about 3 hours to get from my place to his. If we had a good road between the two, you could probably do it in about half that time, but that is another story. But anyway, Mike drove down on a Sunday morning, got to my place around 10 o'clock in the morning. We loaded up in my truck and we took off, headed west. The first day we drove to Morton, Mississippi, to Clark Easterling at Windy Hill Foundry. We actually spent the night there with Clark, and then Clark jumped in the truck and went with us. So the three of us, Clark Easterling, Windy Hill Foundry, Mike Wiggins, Backyard Machine Shop, and myself, took off, headed west. We left Morton, Mississippi the next morning, drove to, Big Spring, Texas. Didn't really make any stops along the way other than to, bathroom breaks, eating, fuel, etc. On that first day. And then we got up the next morning, early in the morning, and started heading toward Tucson, Arizona, which was our next stop in the trip. We got up that morning, and the first thing when I fired up my GPS to give me directions, I noticed that for some reason I-10 was closed on that morning, and they had us kind of routed a totally different way. We ended up going through, Carlsbad, New Mexico, down through, oh goodness, it was some national park through there, beautiful landscape. Ended up coming out down in El Paso, Texas, after coming through New Mexico. It was a little bit longer to go that way, but boy, what a beautiful trip we had riding through the Southwestern U.S. desert. Like I said, we ended up in Tucson, and then from there, instead of just getting on 10 and taking a straight shot across, from the advice from Tom Utley, who lives in Tucson, he said that there's a little mining town, and I can't think of the name of it. Let me look real quick. All right, yeah, so Bisbee, Arizona was the name of the little town. He kind of said, if you got time, take a little side trip, go down to Bisbee. It's just this neat mining town, have dinner there, whatever. We had a little bit of time, so we took the route down through there, basically drove right across the U.S.-Mexico border for a long way through New Mexico, and then hit down toward Bisbee. Would really have loved to have had some time in Bisbee to look around, but just didn't have time to. But we did have dinner there. Really, really neat town. And then from there headed up to Tucson to spend the night. The next day, we basically spent there in Tucson area, did some sightseeing. We went to the Pima Air and Space Museum, went and saw a viewer and friend, Ray Fisher. And Ray has a little mining museum that he kind of set up his own personal thing. I don't think it's really open to the public right now. It's kind of been a lifelong dream of his. He has an incredible collection of all kinds of mining artifacts, hit and miss engines, and this, that, and the other. We went out and visited with him for a little while. We drove down to let me show you. While I was at Ray's, I had my first purchase from the trip. Ray had this massive pair of blacksmithing tongs, and I asked him if he'd be willing to sell them to me, and he was, so I bought them. These are probably just a wall hanger, but they're a completely functional set of blacksmithing tongs. I'm sure this was for some type of heavy forging work in the mines, but anyway, pretty cool set here. That was really my first purchase from the trip. We also, on our free day, went down to Tombstone, Arizona, which we had actually driven through the day before, but didn't have time to stop. We decided to go back, the history of Tombstone and the shootout, the OK Corral. Honestly, very disappointed. It was a tourist trap. Anyway, but went back up to Tucson that evening, had dinner with Tom Utley, went to this fabulous steakhouse. I don't remember the name of it. It's been there forever and ever and ever, but man, that was a good steak that we had, and got to catch up with Tom Utley. Tom is with Vaughn Industrial. He makes the little replacement machinery tags that you've probably seen me use in a lot of my videos. Has a little side business doing that. Does an outstanding job making reproduction tags. And anyway, got a chance to catch up with Tom, who I hadn't seen in quite a long time. The next morning, we spent the whole day in Tucson. We packed up and we headed to Rancho Cucamonga and got into the Bardsley Summer Bash. I guess it would have been on the Thursday before it really started off on that Friday. We got in right around lunchtime that day and really had a good time there. So at the Bardsley Summer Bash, that is always a great time. Get to see a lot of my viewers who watch the channel, get to catch up with a lot of friends, other YouTubers are there. And we were there pretty much, half a day on Thursday. We were there pretty much all day on Friday and all day on Saturday. The three of us were. And at the bash, one of the things that they do is they have a big swap meet and sale or whatever. People bring stuff out, put them out on tables. I actually brought some stuff out, sold some stuff. While I was there, they had a little scraping class going on Friday, and I was able to kind of help out a little bit with that. And they actually took some of my straight edges, and those were kind of their projects for the day. So we managed to scrape up some straight edges, and we got those milled out. And several people in the scraping class got to work on scraping out a straight edge while they were there. As far as swap meets go, I did pick up quite a few items at the swap meet, either through purchases. Some of them were gifts from viewers. And I'm not really advertising this as an odds and ends, but let me show you a few things that we picked up at the Bardsley Summer Bash. So these are a couple of items that I picked up from Joe Way at Sierra Specialty Auto. Met Joe there many times. We've conversed many times over email and messaging or whatever. Had a couple of involute cutters here, and one of them was an angle cutter. He actually gave those to me, and then he had out on his table. Had a couple of left-hand Acme taps. I always pick those up when I find them. I got a cabinet over there. I run across needing Acme taps from time to time, and occasionally I've actually had the right one. These were $10 a piece, and anyway, I picked those up, and they also had this little tapered reamer in there. This is a number 7 Brown and Sharp taper. Again, kind of an oddball thing. I don't run across that a lot, but for $10, I thought that would be nice to have in the inventory just in case I ever needed a number 7 Brown and Sharp taper. We needed to make something with that in there. I've got a reamer for it now. Another item picked up at the bash. This was actually a gift from a viewer, and I hate to say it, I don't remember who gave it to me. I asked him to write his name on the wrapper or whatever, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it." But anyway, a very nice little lead hammer, homemade, with a nice wooden turn handle. This is a really, really nice. I almost hate to use this thing, but I will, because I believe that tools are made to be used. But anyway, thank you very much for a nice gift. Swap meet find here, a set of Brown and Sharp dial calipers. I really like this style of calipers. I prefer these over the Starretts and some of the other ones. And probably because when I worked in a machine shop back in the late 1980s, my boss, Virgil Williams, actually bought a set of Brown Sharp calipers like this. It had a black dial. I still have them. They're on my desk. I keep them up there when I'm measuring stuff. But I've just always liked this style. But anyway, someone had this on their table, I think $30, and yeah, just to have an extra set laying around the shop. I think I've got 2 sets of Brown and Sharps that I keep out here in the shop, and sometimes I can't remember where I laid them down, so this will be added to the pile of available dial calipers to go to. And anyway, like these Brown Sharps. So another item here that was a gift. This actually was given to me by Tom Lipton. And this is a set of playing cards that were sold by or given away probably by Kearney Trekker. So it's got the little design here. They actually use this same catalog art on the front of one of their catalogs back in, I think, the 1940s, maybe 1950s. But anyway, really nice set of brand spanking new playing cards. I don't think they've ever even really been used. That'll go into my Kearney Trekker collection. I'll probably take these up to my office and put them on my display shelf because I think that's cool. So, Tom, thank you. And speaking of Tom Lipton, Tom always brings a bunch of really cool stuff to sell, and this year was no exception. This is something that I brought home with me, this nice little case here. This is a Ron repeatometer. This is used for checking the flatness of a surface plate. Comparator, basically, where you are just looking for the local highs and lows across the table. It doesn't really measure the true flatness. You have a procedure to do that, but this kind of tells you, the small variations that are on the plate. You put a very fine micrometer or dial indicator in here that measures in microns. I actually have one. It didn't come with the micrometer, but I have one that I can put in here, and you run this thing around. And this thing, it looks to be almost mint. These are extremely hard to find. They're somewhat rare, and when you do find them, you pay an arm and a leg for them. And I didn't pay an arm and a leg for this one, but they didn't get my whole arm and my whole leg, but he got maybe from my elbow down. Paid up for it, but at the end of the day, it was a good deal, and I was glad to get it because, again, this is something that I had been looking for quite some time. So, a Ron repeatometer. Another item I picked up from a person at the bash. They had mentioned that they had this book, and I said, well, I'd be interested in that. And they had that in their car. Anyway, I ended up actually doing some trading. I think I ended up trading some tools I had on my table for this. If you're not familiar with this book, Anvils in America by Richard Postman, it is the Bible on anvils in America. It has pretty much everything you could ever want to know about American-made anvils, and even a lot of the anvils that were found in the U.S. that were, made in England or Europe or wherever. It's an absolute, like I said, just treasure trove of information. I actually already had a copy of this. I have had a copy of it for years that I bought from Richard Postman when he first published this. In fact, I have a signed copy of it. But anyway, I couldn't turn up the opportunity. It was a good deal. Like I said, did some horse trading for it, and got an extra copy now. So anyway, really good book. If you're interested in anvils, you don't have a copy of this, I would highly recommend finding one because it's worth it. Next item here, I got a nice piece of S7 tool steel. This came from Philip. Oh, what's Philip's last name? It's escaping me right now. He actually taught the scraping class. Philip, I'm sorry, but anyway, picked this up from him. He had some tool steel, and he gave this to me, and I'm sure it will get used on a project. This is some good, high quality tool steel. And we can harden it over there in my hot shot oven, work on a project at some point in time. I'll run across the need for this kind of stuff from time to time. Thank you, Philip. I also had a viewer that gave me a stack of buffing wheels here. Asked if I wanted them as I was loading some stuff in the truck, and I just threw them in there. Again, this is the kind of stuff you need from time to time. When you're trying to buff something out, I can put these on any one of my grinders and have a good buffing wheel. So anyway, thank you very much on that. Also picked up a bunch of sandpaper, various grits and sizes, some rolls, some sheets. This is some good cloth back, high quality, old stock sandpaper. And again, definitely have a need for that. And also this U.S. Navy books on tools and their uses. This has been used for training naval personnel on all kinds of tools. So anyway, some nice little things to add to the collection here. This sandpaper will definitely come in handy. So at the bash, I got somehow or another roped into participating in a little game that was done on their live stream. It was basically Machine Shop Jeopardy. And I was pitted up against Tom Lipton and Randy Richard, and somehow, miraculously, by pure just luck, I ended up winning the Jeopardy rounds. Not sure how that happened, but I was up against two really good guys there, and somehow I came out on top. And the prize was a handmade pocket knife that was made by one of the bash participants there. And Cowell, he didn't have his first name on here. I did actually talk to him a little bit, but he handmade this very nice lockback pocket knife. I'll zoom you in here and let you see it, as long with a leather case that goes with it. Beautiful, beautiful pocket knife. I'm really excited to have this. So again, not sure how I managed to come out on top in that. May have been a little cheating going on. I'm not sure, but anyway, I did, and brought home the bacon, so to speak. So anyway, thank you to Mr. Cowell for the nice pocket knife, and very nice. So another really nice piece that I picked up at the bash, again, this was by a viewer, actually brought this by. I bought it, but he didn't have it out on a table per se, but he let me knew he had it, asked me if I was interested in it, and I was, and we worked out a deal on it as well. So this is a bender for bending flat bar stock. This one is made by Whitney, and basically there's a little clamp here. You can open this up, put your bar stock in there. There's a handle that fits into this little slot right here, and then you can bend 90 or up to a 90-degree bend on this. And you got the really, really nice, you get some leverage here to make nice bends in flat stock. This is something that I've had a need for many times in my shop, and have just kind of always made do with a vise or something like this. So anyway, this is a really nice addition to have. So anyway, thank you. Like I said, this was a purchase, but I may have traded for it. I can't remember, but it wasn't a gift. I remember that. But anyway, it was really a nice item to pick up. So we spent Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the bash, and then on Sunday we basically packed up and left out of there, heading to our next stop on our road trip. And I guess really we left on Saturday evening. We drove down away from Rancho Cucamonga area, a little bit closer to where the USS Iowa was, and we spent the night there. And on Sunday morning, had an invite from the guys at the USS Iowa to take a tour of the battleship that they have as a museum ship set up there, and also do a tour of their machine shop aboard the battleship and do a little video on that. And I believe the way that these videos are going to get posted, that's already been posted up there on my channel, so you can go check out our tour of the machine shop aboard the USS Iowa, which I thought was really cool. I had a lot of fun there. But we also got a tour of the rest of the battleship as well. And I didn't shoot any video on that, but Clark Easterling over at Windy Hill Foundry did, and he's going to have a video with some of the rest of our tour. So if you're interested in that, you can go take a look at that over at Windy Hill Foundry's channel. Great time. We spent most of the day there. We got there early that morning. I think we arrived about 7 a.m. Actually went and got some breakfast with the guys at the battleship, and then came and did our tour and shot the video, and stayed to probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and could have spent a week there easily. Absolutely fabulous. Really enjoyed that day on the battleship. If you're in Southern California, you're looking for something cool to do, I highly recommend you go out there and check out the USS Iowa. It is really a neat tour and worth your time and effort to go see that. From the USS Iowa, we packed up and started heading to a little bit farther north in California. I had an appointment on Monday morning to be in Santa Cruz with Row Machinery. Row Machinery reached out to me a couple of weeks ago telling me that they basically were wanting to donate their entire collection of literature, manuals, sales catalogs, etc., to the VintageMachinery.org website for us to digitize and put up like we've done so many others in the past. He was kind of starting to thin things down out there, and he had quite a collection of paper goods, and so we headed up. We stopped about halfway up, a little over halfway up, spent the night, got up early next morning, and basically was in Santa Cruz when they opened up that morning, and we picked up quite a haul there. In fact, I'm going to insert just a little bit of video here. I ended up taking a little enclosed trailer on the trip, so I could just pick this stuff up and bring it back. Didn't want to have to ship it because it was so much, and I really wasn't planning on taking a trailer on the trip. But when we found out this was an option, I said, you know what, I'm going to be that close. I'm only a couple of hours away. Might as well just run up there and get it. So we did. And like I said, we've got a tremendous amount of literature that's got to be sorted through and scanned for the website at some point in time. At some point in time, I'm not quite ready to do this yet. Maybe this fall or winter when it's a little bit cooler, I'll probably end up having another shop weekend where people can come in and help us sort through these. We did one of these back, I don't know, about maybe last spring or summer when we got another big collection from up in Pennsylvania, I think it was. I think we've got more in this collection than we did. Oh, I know we got more in this collection than we did the other one. Fortunately, a lot of the stuff was somewhat sorted alphabetically, not all of it. So and we tried to keep it in boxes where it was at least kind of grouped together, but we still need to go through it all, get it all sorted out. And I got some other stuff I've collected up that needs to be kind of sorted out or whatever, so we can start getting the process organized and getting that scanned and digitized up there. While I was at Row Machinery, I also looked around at all the really cool stuff that they have there for sale. If you're in that area, the Bay Area of California, and you're looking for any kind of tools or tooling, highly recommend running over to Row Machinery in Santa Cruz. They got an amazing collection of stuff, and I did buy one thing there for my shop, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So this is something that I have been, I won't say looking for, I've definitely been keeping an eye out for one for quite some time now, something I've really been wanting, and this is what they call a Square Master. And you use this, basically a metrology tool. You use it over on your surface plate, and you can mount a indicator on one of these posts here, like a tense indicator or whatever. And inside of this, there's actually a granite column that's very precision lapped in, and it moves up and down where you can basically sweep an indicator along a surface and check it for squareness. You would calibrate this using a granite square, which I have a granite square that we can calibrate with to get it set. You can adjust the legs on here to fine tune it to get it set working just right. And then you can sweep an indicator up and down a vertical surface and check it for squareness. So very precision metrology tool, and this is something that will definitely come in handy in some of my scraping and machinery building projects that I do. And like I said, this is something that I can't say I've been searching for one, but again, just kind of keeping my eye out for. I saw one in there. They're pretty rare. They're not very common. And when I saw he had one in there for sale, I asked about it, inquired about it, and we worked out a deal, and I ended up just purchasing this and bringing it home. So Bob Rowe at Row Machinery, thank you very much for working with me on this. Glad to have this nice addition in my shop, and definitely something that you guys will get to see us using down the road, Square Master. While I was at Row Machinery, Chuck Bomarito, Outside Screwball on YouTube, actually met me over there. He only lives about 45 minutes away, and him and a couple other viewers actually met me there as well, and helped out a little bit with us getting the truck loaded up and with all the stuff we picked up. But Chuck had contacted me a while back. He had this brooch set that he wanted to give me. This is for some fairly large broaching, and you know, this is something, again, that I can definitely use in the shop here. I've got a brooch set with brooch bushings, but it's all smaller size stuff. I've got some of the larger brooches, but I don't have the bushings to go with them. This was a nice set. We got a 1/2 inch, 7/16, 3/8, and what was that, 5/16, I think, brooches in here, as well as the bushings that basically fit in different diameter holes, and you would just run the broach in this slot. You guys have seen me use broaches before. This particular set is made by Threadwell Tap and Die Company. It's their little Champ keyway brooch set. And again, very nice to have. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of these sizes of brooch bushings for larger size stuff. So now I've got these when I need them. So these are basically just nominal sizes for different size holes you might need, and you're ready to roll. When you get ready, just drop the bushing in and broach things out. So Chuck, thank you very much. Very nice addition to the shop. Definitely will be using this at some point, I am confident. So once we left Rowe Machinery on Monday afternoon, we headed across the state of California, and we actually had an invite by Randy Richard. Randy lives up right outside of Yosemite National Park. His property is only a couple of miles from the park through the woods, although you can't access the park from where he's at. So I think it's like an hour drive to get to where you can get into the park, unless you had horses or four-wheelers or something like that, so you could go cross country. Anyway, we went to Randy's house. Randy and his wife were gracious enough to host us. Randy's got an absolutely beautiful place. Randy Richard in the Shop. YouTube channel. If you haven't checked him out, I would highly encourage you to check that channel out as well. He does some neat work. And we had just an absolutely wonderful evening there at his place, getting to check out his beautiful, beautiful place up there in the mountains. Yeah, it was a nice evening, and really, really enjoyed that particular little break from driving. That was not too terribly of a long day on the road. We got up the next morning, that would be on, Tuesday morning, and drove down to the Fresno area and got a chance to visit the Hillcrest shops, Hillcrest Orchards, I think it is. They've got a 15-inch railroad, narrow gauge railroad that they do rides. There's kind of an attraction. They have a Christmas tree farm there and some other tree stuff. And they have these trains, some steam-powered trains, as well as diesel-powered trains or gas-powered trains that they pull the kids around on. But they actually have a very, very nice shop there where they build these steam locomotives at. And these are actually pretty good-sized steam locomotives. And they actually even will go up to like a 36-inch gauge where they do work. They actually have worked on, I think, pretty much all of the steam locomotives at Disneyland, as well as some of the other narrow gauge 36-inch steam locomotives in their shops as well. We got a chance to tour their shops there and kind of check that out. Didn't really shoot any video or anything of that. Probably should have, but just crunching time, we didn't really get a chance to do that. But did enjoy very much visiting the Hillcrest shops there. And then we headed back down towards Southern California and spent the next night there with another viewer that we met at the Bash, who invited us to again stay with him. And this is another guy that deals with the 15-inch locomotives. This was Brendan Hilton and his wife Christine. They invited us to come. Brendan's got an absolutely wonderful machine shop there where he again builds these 15-inch steam locomotives, as well as has a little small train set right there in his yard. We actually got to ride on one of his setups there. He's got a couple of acres there that he has set up. Really nice place there. And again, they were very grateful, allowed us to come into their home, fix us a nice supper. His wife Christine fixed an absolutely fantastic dinner for us, and we got to stay there with them for the night. Very enjoyable evening again on the road. The next morning, now we're up to Wednesday. While we were in the area there, I stopped by the shops of Ameribraid. And this was only about 15 minutes from where Brendan was at, same town, just the other side of town. And we got to tour their factory there, where they make the Ameribraid sanders or grinders, like a blacksmithing knife grinding setup. Very interesting, and really got a chance to go through and see their whole setup there. And I actually purchased to bring home with me an Ameribraid grinder, something I've been wanting in the shop for a long time. This is one of the knife grinding type grinders that you can put the different wheels and the different platings on. While I'm not a knife maker per se, and I don't know that I really have any great plans to become a knife maker, I might one day decide to make a knife or two, but I really wanted it just to use in the shop in general. My belt sander that I have is one of my most used machines in the shop, and this one is a lot more versatile than the one I have. So I'm really excited about that. I'm not going to go into all that right now. I'm probably going to do a complete video on getting that thing set up and put together and put to use coming up here pretty soon. So, but Ameribraid, they make a fantastic product. It's all made right here in the USA. They pretty much machine out everything they have. They have their own laser cutters for cutting out the sheet metal and plate steel. They've got their own press brakes and stuff that they bend everything up there. They got their machinery to make all the different parts. Just about everything in those grinders is made right there in California, here in the USA. And they even go to the extent of trying to source, U.S.-made motors and VFDs and things like that, at least as much as possible. So a good made in USA product, and I was very happy to be able to purchase one and bring to my shop. Because even though it's a new machine, not a vintage machine, it's something that's going to get used around here a lot. When we left out from there, we finally started back heading east, late morning on Wednesday, drove across the desert, went through the, I guess it was Mojave Desert there. Very interesting. I haven't spent a lot of time in the desert except on this trip, but really enjoyed driving across there. We went to Hoover Dam. Clark was wanting to see Hoover Dam. Unfortunately, when they got there, they wouldn't let us in because we were pulling an enclosed trailer, and evidently, for security reasons, they did not allow enclosed trailers at Hoover Dam. We tried to go across the bridge where he could at least see it, but unfortunately, because they had some sides up on the bridge that went across there on the interstate, Clark didn't get to see the Hoover Dam. Mike and myself have both seen it before. A little disappointed about that because Clark was really wanting, and we actually drove a couple hours out of the way to go there so he could see it, and I was looking forward to seeing it again myself, but wasn't able to get to check that off of his bucket list. From there, we drove across to Flagstaff, Arizona for the night. Beautiful, beautiful area. I really enjoyed our stop in Flagstaff. It was like a little oasis there in the desert. Had some trees, had some greenery. At least when we were there, the temperature was fabulous. It was just a really, really nice place. We spent the night there. We got in a little bit early. It was probably 5:30 when we rolled into town. Had a nice dinner and kind of got to enjoy ourselves a little bit there in Flagstaff. Next morning, Thursday, this was the longest day of the trip. We left out of there about, I think we left out of there about 5:30 that morning. Of course, that would have been Pacific time, or it was Mountain Standard Time or something. It's same as Pacific time. We drove from there all the way across to Texas, Childress, Texas. And we left about, let's just say 6 a.m. We pulled into Childress, Texas about 11:30 p.m. and it was a day of hard driving. We did make a couple of stops there. We stopped at the Petrified Forest National Park, Painted Desert, kind of drove through that. Enjoyed getting to spend a little bit of time doing that. Took a little sidetrack trip there. We also, on the way there, did probably one of the most iconic 5-minute road trip stops across the country. We went to Winslow, Arizona, so we could be standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona and have our picture made. We had breakfast there that morning. So those were kind of our two little stops along that day. But we got into Childress, Texas about 11:30 p.m. Of course, now we're in Central Time, so we gained a couple of hours coming across. So even though it was 11:30, it was only 9:30 p.m. from the Pacific time from when we left, but still a very, very long day on the road. When we got there, we jumped into bed, had a couple of winks of sleep. Again, the next morning we were up at 6 a.m., headed back home, and from there it was just straight driving across Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Got into Clark's place again there in Morton, Mississippi. I think it was around it was about 6 o'clock p.m. Their time. Had dinner there in Morton at the Rib Cage and spent the night at Clark's. And then Mike and I got up early the next morning. I think we got up about 5 a.m. and headed back to Georgia. I pulled in to my place. Again, we just drove straight through there. Got back home around 1:30 on Saturday afternoon. Mike still had about a 3-hour drive to get back over to where he was at, and he got home probably around 5 o'clock or so, 5:30 his time. And our trip was over. So there you go. Road trip 2024 to the Barzy Summer Bash. Really enjoyed getting a chance to drive across the country. That was a bucket list item for me. I had been to every one of those states, but usually flying in, just being in little small areas. First time I really got a chance to drive across those areas and really see the country. And man, it was a treat. Some beautiful country down there in the Southwest, coming through the deserts, and just some of the landscapes that we saw were breathtakingly beautiful, and very glad to have had a chance to do that. Thank you to everybody we got a chance to meet up with along the way, people who hosted us along the way. It was just an absolutely fun trip. 2 weeks on the road, a long time away from home, but well worth it. So there you go, guys. Our road trip 2024 and some of the cool things we picked up along the way. Oh, I forgot to show this. AmeriBlade gave me this little thing. It's a little 6-pack holder that they cut out on their laser cutter and bent up on their press brake and put together. Kind of cool. They don't sell these, but they give them away to folks, and they were kind enough to give me one to bring home. So thank you, AmeriBlade. All right, guys, that's a wrap. And I'm glad to be back home. I got plenty of work to do. I've got one more month. I'm filming this literally on the last day of June 2024, and July 30th, 2024 is when I will be retiring from my full-time job and transitioning to working full-time here in the shop, bringing you guys content. And I'm really looking forward to that. I got a busy month ahead of me. Still got another week on the road to go to a professional conference I got to kind of do, and wrapping up some stuff with my regular job. I got to do some training before I get out of here with a lot of the people that I work with, trying to transition, knowledge transfer or whatever before I get out of here. So I'm very busy July, but come August 1st, I am free and ready to go to work out here in the shop. So we'll be looking forward to bringing you guys more content down the road. And with that, that'll be a wrap. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up and comments, always greatly appreciated. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. Big, huge thank you to the guys who support the channel through Patreon, PayPal, etc. There are links for that down below if you want to help out. It is greatly appreciated, and really enables me to be able to take the time to shoot these videos and bring them to you. And with that, we will be signing off. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, thanks for watching.